Is now a good time to see if my audio works?
Yeah, this would be a great time. All right, folks. Mace was a little late for good reason. Welcome to episode 3 of No One Asked Us. And as always, we're going to kick it off with our bio, which is brought to us by ChatGPT for the one and only Mr. Dale Larson III, the world's the mortgage world's resident data whisperer, part-time mountain man, full-time CEO of Modex. After watching his dad recruit loan officers with all the surgical precision of a dartboard, Dale grabbed a keyboard and built Modex in 2015 to turn gut feelings into 10 million data point crystal balls that tell lenders who to hire before the LO even updates LinkedIn. Before turning mortgage recruiting into Moneyball, Dale kept the Wi-Fi humming at Stephen Pass Mountain Resort, proving he can manage both powder days and power users without breaking a sweat. He's a Seattle Pacific trained business and info systems nerd who also passed FEMA's incident command courses. So if this episode goes off the rails, he can literally coordinate the rescue. Sounds like that one might have been not true. Today, Modex serves thousands of lenders and loan officers nationwide, arming them with X-ray vision into every LO's production stats, specialty niches, and likely next move. Basically, Minority Report for mortgage hiring minus Tom Cruise's haircut. When Dale isn't decoding loan officer flight patterns, you'll find him geeking out on non-QM data, guest hosting industry podcasts, or plotting new ways to make spreadsheets exciting. The superpower his marketing team is still processing. Please welcome to No One Asked Us, the man who turned a family frustration into an industry revolution, Dale Data on Skis Larson III.
Wow, that is something else.
How was it? How did GPT do?
It's all accurate. I can see where it sourced all the data. The
Okay.
FEMA stuff is correct, by the way.
it is.
That was correct. I have
Nice.
some FEMA certifications. I don't even recall why. While you were reading that, I had to look on LinkedIn, and I was like, did I really still get those? I don't recall why I got those, but I did get those. I think during the pandemic for something. But
that's awesome.
That's
so
a good bio.
The source was a website called The Org. So
The Org. Okay,
The Org.
I'm familiar with The Org.
It has a bio on you on it, and apparently it brings up FEMA.
I just have to laugh at the fact that you're like the one and only Dale Larson III.
Well, the thing is, you can't say the one and only Dale Larson. And we'll get into this in a minute because my dad is also Dale Larson. He's Dale Larson Jr.
Well,
he's co-founder with me, so there isn't one Dale Larson.
That's what I mean. That was the funny part. It was like you can't really say the one and only.
You caught it. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dale, thanks so much for joining us. For anybody listening, we do have the Modex QR code up here. If you want to scan it, we'll bring it back up also at the end. But Dale, really to kick things off, what we would love to know is, how did you make it into the mortgage industry? I know we kind of touched on that a little bit in the bio, it sounded like, but we always say nobody grows up or nobody as a little kid says they want to grow up and be in mortgage tech.
Yep.
So what got you here?
Oh my gosh. My dad did. Love my dad. I saw him this morning, actually. So my dad has been in, traditional mortgage banking here in the Pacific Northwest for like 35 years probably at this point. And so I grew up around lots of entrepreneurs on my dad's side and my mom's side, which is a really interesting story around that. And so I was set in my life to be a business owner or an entrepreneur. Like it was just, there's no other choice. And so I saw my dad do mortgage. I worked in and around his businesses growing up. And kind of to what the bio said, one day I talked to my dad. I was like, hey, I think what you do, I can do a lot better with some good data and technology. That was back in probably around 2012 or 2013. And that was really the impetus for Modex. Was like, hey, let's just take this kind of archaic molasses speed recruiting thing and let's bring it into the 21st century with some good data and technology. So that's how I got here. Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. So when did you started Modex in 2015? Do I have that right? Or 2013?
That's funny. I was telling PK this last year. There's really, you got to choose a date. There's dates. It was 2015. We became a corporation. 2017 we launched version 1 of the product here in Washington State, and then 2019 we rolled the product out nationwide. So pick and choose. I would maybe say 2019 because that's really when we started making money. But technically, we became a company in 2015.
I always go with incorporation date. So
It looks best. Makes me look like I've been around 12 years or something.
Like you know what you're
doing. Do any of us know what we're doing though? I don't know.
No, I don't.
At least I'm thinking it pretty good.
So tell us, Dale, a little bit about Modex. There's definitely probably some people watching who know of you, but we probably also have maybe some originators out there that have not heard of you.
Yeah, so we're a SaaS, so we're a software as a service web platform. The primary use case for our platform was and continues to be around mortgage recruiting, right? So we aggregate licensing data, contact data, production data, real estate data, with the idea being, well, here, let me rewind. Here's the issue with the mortgage industry. Mortgage recruiting is hard and it sucks for everyone, for loan officers and employers alike. And so when we started the business, we did a focus group with both those groups of people. And here's what we understood. For employers, they don't know who wants jobs. And there's no data to help them understand production or sales volume, stuff like that. Okay. On the loan officer side, loan officers, when they're ready to look for a job, although they're inundated with requests for jobs all the time, when they're ready to look for a job, they generally don't know where to start looking for jobs. They don't know any data about the employer that they're maybe getting inquiries from. And third, depending on the loan officer and depending on the industry and the company, the mortgage industry is cutthroat. And so if an employer finds out, potentially, some scenarios, that a loan officer is looking for jobs, they might just send them home. They might say, hey, here's your box, go home. It's nice having you as an employee. So there is some anxiety or hesitancy for loan officers to look for jobs. And so what we thought was, hey, let's go out into the market and let's build a platform that solves these problems for both loan officers and employers alike. Okay, and so what we did is we started aggregating data that I just talked about. And so from the employer side, I can show employers, loan officer production, branch, company production, like a bunch of really cool BI intelligence sort of information. Okay? Yep. On the loan officer side, though, they can claim their profile, and the other way around is that they can look at employer production. Are employers actually growing? What is the likelihood or what is the success rate of a loan officer becoming better at mortgage company A versus mortgage company B? Oh, cool. So we kind of turned that model around using data.
That's awesome, because I know I come from the capital markets side and then ended up on the technology side. So I don't know the front end originations. But one of the things I've heard, and this is largely via LinkedIn posts, is that a lot of LOs get caught in this problem of promises that get made by the originators, and then they leave their one origination shop and ended up in another one, and all of a sudden their volumes actually drop off, not increase.
Yeah, 100%. It's been very one-sided, right? Like an employer would hire a loan officer knowing their production and where they've been and what their licensing looks like. And the loan officer generally has no insight into that employer other than what that employer tells them. In which, of course, in that scenario, it's funny to think of it this way, but we think about a lot of things at Modex this way. It's a sale. The recruiter or the employer is trying to sell that loan officer and coming to work for them. So they're going to make themselves look as good and clean and shiny and growing as possible, because that's going to get them to switch jobs. When in reality, maybe that's not the case. And by leveraging data like Modex has access to, we can kind of clear the air and bring transparency to loan officers on who they're potentially going to go work for.
I do think it's funny, though, because it also goes the other way, because I remember recruiting LOs. Every one of them had this magic number. I do 10 million a month. It felt like a magic number. And now we have data like you, and we have like Model Match and Ingenious, and you could just see how a lot of them are full of shit. And just like, yeah, that's not at all what your production numbers are. I'm able to look at it now.
Yeah, our joke is if you ask a loan officer, again, if there's loan officers listening, obviously I love you guys, but I'm just giving you guys a hard time. Our joke is if you ask a loan officer what their production is, their average monthly production is, they won't actually give you their average. They'll tell you their best month in the last 18 months. They'll be like, yeah, this is my average.
Yeah.
So Mace, what you're talking about is exactly what we've experienced. And that's why we give the data to employers, is to help them kind of cut through the bullshit and get to the brass tacks.
And what are most employers actually offering originators in this space now? Like, I do think it's funny. You said, here's the problem with the mortgage industry. And I was like, wait, I mean, there's like 100 of them, but like, what are mortgage companies out there offering to originators to woo them now?
I don't know if there's much wooing going on if you're a average originator. I don't think employers intentionally set themselves up for this, but it's happened with a couple. Is a friend of mine was calling it a flight to safety in this market, where loan officers are looking to go to employers where they have strong cash balances and likely servicing rights. So they're showing a level of stability going into the future. And again, employers maybe didn't configure that going into this, but it's been a side effect where loan officers are saying, hey, I want to go to a company that I know is not going to go bankrupt next month, or is it going to merge into someone else? But yeah, I don't see as often like signing bonuses and stuff like that. They still occur, but just not as often as they did a couple of years ago.
Dale, Mace, real quick. So are you saying that like a decade ago, recruiters would just fly blind and like would just take the word of the loan officer when it came to actually deciding whether or not like they're going to recruit them, or how did that work?
Oh, a long time ago, it was just give me some documentation or show me some sort of P&L or show me some, but I'm talking 10 years ago.
So just
back when
making it up.
you were graduating high school, PK. We have Mike Cush chiming in.
Yeah, I was gonna say Cush is always good for a question. Anybody's watching, if you want.
Yeah, I love Mike
into the chat, but I think this is an interesting question. Do we have any lenders who are positioning themselves for middle performers who want to be managed in order to improve? Support isn't being managed, is more likely providing flyers. Does anybody have any thoughts on this question? I don't.
I don't know if I could necessarily name people here or be comfortable naming people. There's people that I could think of, and Mike, I'd be happy to follow up with you.
Mike, that's an offline question is what I'm hearing.
But it's a great question. I mean, I'm sure lots of originators would like to know, hey, where is the place to go for middle performers who want to improve? Where improving doesn't mean managed; it means providing actual tools to become a better originator. Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah. No, it's a good point, right? Because you've got to find some sort of competitive advantage if you're not one of these sort of top tier lenders where it's like, okay, we know they're not going bankrupt, we know they've got a really good tech stack, and you're sort of the middle of the road guy, right? You're not cross country or NFM or Rocket or whoever. How do you gain some level of advantage in the space? And that seems like one that you could.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hop into some general questions, and as always, PK and Mace, feel free to jump in. What I would actually love to know is like what's sort of next for Modex, right? Like where are you guys looking at from a features perspective, or are you sort of in a maintain component at this point, or where are you where's the ball bouncing to next for you from a technology perspective?
Yeah, there's a few things I can talk about. There's a few things I can't talk about. But our big pushes this year are better data, better refresh rates, access to more data, and so that's kind of one of the pillars, I guess, of one of our things we're working on this year, and that's going well. We're very excited about that. And that's not necessarily an engineering or technical thing. That's more of a contracting legal thing. So we're working through that.
Yeah.
And then going mobile. And I actually wanted to discuss this. I think it's interesting. And I was talking to someone yesterday about this. I think there's this big push there has been a big push towards mobile. And I think there's a lot of relevancy in going towards mobile. There's still obviously relevancy in web applications and stuff like that. But we feel like most people want to have things on demand. They want things conveniently, right? That's why we have Uber Eats, right? It's because I'm lazy, right? I want convenience. I want stuff delivered to my door. I'll pay more for it, even if it shows up cold. But it's people want data immediately in their hand, and so I think that that can be done in web applications and stuff like that, and responsive web development. But really, to get the full suite and the full benefit of mobile, you need to have mobile apps. So I think that's our second big push this year is mobile apps. We're very excited about that. So that's bringing the existing BI functionality that we have. We call it Modex Recruit to mobile, as well as the loan officer profiles, employer profiles functionality to mobile as well. So those are kind of our two big things this year.
Nice. So everybody, it's all the buzz, right? Is Gen AI. Every day, every hour of the day, it seems like. I'd love to know, like, are there aspects of Gen AI that you guys are looking at that you're looking to build in, or, and this is the case with a lot of software companies, is there just no real big giant use for Gen AI in what you guys are doing?
I think there's benefit for Gen AI. I think some of it's been overhyped a little bit, which we could unpack AI for a while here. But yeah, I'm not sure if we will. Not that I'm concerned about it. I just getting maximum value. I don't know if I would let AI tools access to our data sets. I don't think they contextually would understand all of it just yet.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think there's usefulness in taking natural language and converting it to filtering queries in Modex. So for example, when you're filtering or searching for loan officers in Modex, we have 50 filters or whatever. Not everyone, including myself, sometimes knows how all those filters work. And so it'd be beneficial to say, hey, I'm looking for loan officers in Tampa that are great loan officers that have been in the industry a while and do non-QM business. So it's that's a very vague understanding of in the industry a long time, does good production, does some non-QM production. So AI could take that, we could prompt it with, here's our filtering set, here are all the variables or the different fields that could be accepted by these filters. And I could say, hey, take this natural language, create the best filter set, and then kick me back a JSON object, and then I'll apply that JSON object as the filters for our page here. So I think there's relevancy to it and stuff like that. But for us, we're not letting AI just go rip it up on our data sets just yet.
And that makes total and complete sense, right? Especially because if you're not going to expose it to the foundational models, there's quite a bit of work to be done there. And to your point, it's also, where does it bring value? We've talked about this on other episodes, which is, a lot of times people just feel like they have to somehow inject AI into their technology, and it's it doesn't even make any sense. The interesting thing we've found is that there's a lot of people asking for things that are actually machine learning, but they never asked for them before when there was a solution. But there's a little bit of a psychological component that we've noticed, which is people are all of a sudden, because they can see and feel and touch Gen AI through ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, they're now thinking up oh, can we do this? And we'll have people who come to us with a problem. We're yeah, we can do it, but it's not actually Gen AI.
I love the, and again, this is not Gen AI, but I think it's kind of along those lines. The idea of, well, let's use AI in underwriting. It's AI doesn't need to be involved in underwriting. Underwriting guidelines, it's a set of rules. It's a if this, then that. That's not AI.
Right.
That's just applying criteria to existing rule sets. So I love stuff like that when people, and again, it's fine. Again, I think you make a good point. It's just AI is now, you can touch it, you can feel it, it's in front of us all day, every day. People are now saying, oh, well, you could do this. Well, it's not AI, it's machine learning. It's, stuff like that.
So what's funny is whenever we were working on getting our grant from Google, they're actually retiring machine learning, their course. So I don't know. I would kind of disagree with you on the machine learning. They're actually saying it's Gen AI is getting so advanced. Machine learning is they're just no, we're going to stop that now. But yeah, I do think from the AI perspective in underwriting, Dale, I actually agree with you on that. I've said you got to use AI to go read all of the guidelines to build a rule engine, but you should just fire up AI, read the guidelines, build your rule engine, and then you're done. After a couple hours, instead of the amount of cost it would take to have AI constantly reading guidelines would the tokens would be pretty insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So going from there, from the AI, what do you think from a technology perspective, from your viewpoint, doesn't exist but should for the mortgage industry?
Perhaps it exists though, but I'm not aware of it, or at least it's not been made up front often enough. I think helping loan officers with their workflows, like dealing with borrowers, you should have more AI involved in that. And I know that's just like very vague and very generic, but like dealing with like borrower text messages and emails. Like AI should be able to chew through that and understand like, hey, okay, this is the document. It needs to go to this person or this other agent. And okay, or this borrower needs this response. Can I generate a response myself as an LLM? Yes. Okay, I can't. Okay, prompt the loan officer to go, gather some information or actually generate a response. So I don't know if that exists, where it's a workflow of an AI monitoring loan officers' communication tools that's then connected to their LOS, their CRM, the price, like all the tools, and it can just kind of pick and choose what it needs, and then it kind of helps just that flow going. So.
PK, now's your time to plug your boy.
I was gonna say, Craig over at Indie Mortgage is working on that. I think he'll be in the show. I think in June. So when you said that, I was like, all right, that's our guy.
There you go. So apparently someone is building it too.
He does some stuff like with different phone systems and monitoring that to push data into the LOS.
Dale, I actually got a question right on this topic, which is it's come up in recent conversations with wholesale lenders around the concept of recruiting account executives to come do business with them and bring their book of business. But I don't think there is like data publicly available on how much production an account executive is responsible for. So that's kind of like this opaque kind of like market. But lenders are constantly trying to recruit the right account executives and sometimes flying blind in that space. And so maybe that's kind of like an area where the puck is maybe heading, where we start collecting some data around that and making that public, or I don't know, like just a Modex for that, right? So
it could be very relevant to you, PK, right? Because you're probably going to be gathering a lot of that. You could potentially be gathering a lot of that data. Now, whether the wholesale lender or like the non-QM lender would be interested in you making that publicly available, I think that's probably up for discussion. But for product that you could build yourself, because you have the data, then that could be something you could work on. Yeah, where if you've aggregated enough data on the market, or if you have enough lenders using your platform and their AEs are in your tool, then you would probably know that. But you are correct though. There is no publicly available data today on AE production or AEs in the market. If I were to look for AEs in the market, I'd start on LinkedIn. But again, there's no sales performance data there.
Yeah.
So
a lot of it's like relationship based.
Ton of it.
I have a general question for everyone that has come up a few times over the last couple of months, which is, what applications do you think, and let's say over the next few years, not tomorrow, but over the next few years, what traditional SaaS categories are at risk of being completely taken out by Gen AI? And I'll go first. And there are people who won't like this answer, but CRMs. At what point in time, all CRM data already lives inside of emails, conference calls, emails and conference calls, basically, right? And then we just
text messages.
Yeah, maybe. But generally speaking, right? And we all know, I have this joke that show me a salesperson who's good at updating the CRM, and I'll show you a shitty salesperson. Because great salespeople are just terrible at updating CRMs. And so I can see a world where an AI agent starts pulling all that data in. And now if I'm the CEO and I want to know what's going on, like I just text my AI agent or email them or whatever. Do you guys have other ones that you kind of see as is the potential of being killed off?
Well, I don't think anyone's safe.
Everything,
Sorry,
yeah, everything is off. Everything is at risk. And so, Andrew, what's funny is there's a company out of Texas. I'll be able to mention them hopefully soon, but they were like looking at doing some initiatives, and I was like, I'll replace. I can show you. I'll build a CRM for you on a call. And they were like, show me. I challenge you. And so last Friday, me and Sean PK on a call. I mean, literally had the guy just dropping 4-letter words left and right. Holy shit. Like we're just building it right in front of him. Like, what do you want? What features do you want? And it was like, we built a dashboard, and they're like, send us your Excel data and we'll tell you profitability. Like they were like trying to figure out credit report costs. And it was just like, all right, watch this. Boo, boo, boo. And then they were just like blown away. Like you're just watching it happen in real time. So everything.
My answer was going to be website builders, but you're already kind of seeing that with Lovable, Bold, and things like that. But yeah, my answer was going to be that one.
But it'll get even better. That's when I'll be interested to see it. Right.
Even Andrew can build a website now. It's so easy.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't think any SaaS is safe from this. I mean, I was in a AI meetings thing recently, and we were talking about how AI, what it's good for today is enhancing people. It enhances processes. However, and again, look this up yourselves because I'm not going to probably quote it correctly, but it was like the founder of Anthropic was saying that AI should have AGI, right? So AGI is artificial general intelligence, so the intelligence of a human being. I believe they said by the end of this year, if not by next year, we should have AI that can do that. Now, what's even crazier is one of the founders of Google, who takes a more conservative view on AI. And again, if I say this wrong, go find it and someone can call me out on LinkedIn. That's fine. He was saying that I think by 2030, AI should have the intelligence of all combined humans on planet Earth.
Yeah, it was something like that. I did see that.
And so it's like, what is safe from that? Nothing. So,
how do you guys think about moats in that case?
The quote I heard and that I agree with is marketing is the new moat. I think marketing and relationships is what it comes down to. I know for us, like all the conversations that we have around AI are all relationship based, right? For customers. And I think especially right now, I mean, I don't know what it'll look like 10 years from now. Hopefully I don't have to worry about that. But I think right now, and I wrote a post about this over the weekend of the snake oil sales people we have in the AI industry right now. They're actually the ones who I think are helping create the marketing and relationship mode, right? Because now it's like, okay, who do I trust? And what we're seeing with companies is they all want to take this crawl, walk, run approach. And they're really looking for someone who can take them sort of on that journey. So I think at least for the time being, that's going to be a big part of it. So, all right, let's move on. Let's do some lightning round questions here. I'm going to change this one a little bit. What was the first piece of tech that you ever used in your professional career?
Professional career period or professional career mortgage?
We'll go period.
Holy smokes. Dreamweaver, probably. Adobe Dreamweaver. Building websites. Taking you back. Does that even exist anymore? I don't know.
You just gave me a flashback. It was green, right? The logo was green. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Probably Dreamweaver in Photoshop. Build really weird PSD sliced websites.
According to the web, yep. Adobe still has Dreamweaver. So
PK's Googling it. What is Dreamweaver?
It's not green anymore, Mace, by the way. It's now pink.
Yes. Oh. They have modernized the marketing, but it's still the same code. So that's terrifying. Worst piece of tech advice you ever received?
Worst piece of tech advice I've ever received. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Just slap the word AI on it. Oh, I hate that. It's the worst. It's just like make it a shiny object with no value. It's the worst. I hate it.
So
Yeah.
Dale, are you gonna have the Dale the Fourth, and are you gonna pull him into the mortgage industry?
Oh, I don't know if my wife will agree with that, but I would love a Dale the Fourth. It's getting up there, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see if she allows that.
We'll see. The boss.
Tech trend you're bullish on?
Tech trend I'm bullish on. Decision. I don't know. I kind of wrote some notes down here. Decision intelligence platforms. So kind of like using AI and analytics to support like it's specific to mortgage. Actually, I mean a lot of my answers are specific to mortgage, but making underwriting decisions relevant to the borrower situation and also finding the right product. Right. So it's not just guidelines. It's saying, hey, and Andrew, I think that's a little bit of your world of looking at guidelines and product and underwriting and then feeding information on the borrower and saying, hey, okay, let's try and figure out what's the best product for them. What can we get them into? So I think that's going to be a big deal. Yeah.
That's, I mean, at the end of the day, our engine is largely about bringing in data, and then what do you do with that data, right? At the end of the day.
I do think it's fascinating the number of LOs out there that will just give you one rate. Like, I don't think I've ever talked to a potential borrower, done a loan for anybody, and that didn't convince them a lot of the time. I'd say majority of the time, like, hey, let's just go an eighth higher in rate and give you 10 grand in your pocket. And I showed them the break even, and they're like, yeah, we're going to leave in 7 years anyway. And so I'm like, yeah, you don't want the low rate. That's, I do think it's interesting that not many borrowers are given multiple options.
I got a question, Mace, to follow up on that. Do you think we're in today's day and age where I feel like my generation and younger, I'm 33, we want a lot of self-serve stuff. I think I'm an outsider, but like most of my friends in my generation younger, they don't want to interact with people, right? Again, they want food delivered to their house and dropped at their front door. Mm-hmm. Do you think that we're going towards a place where, and I'm not talking about the elimination of loan officers, that's a whole other interesting topic, but where consumers, home buyers will want to kind of drive the process themselves, where they are presented with, hey, here are the products that you qualify for. Here are the advantages and disadvantages for you in every scenario. Pick one. And then after that, it gets fired off to a loan officer. Do you think we would ever go to a place like that?
I think that the society now needs all options, right? Because I still think, it's funny. My wife makes fun of me because there's certain things on a mobile phone where I'm just like, fuck this. I need to go get on a computer, right? Like, I hate booking flights on a phone, and she's like, why not? You're such a boomer. Certain things.
Don't give me Facebook. Yeah, I'd be like that.
Yeah, some things I'm just like, I need a full browser. So yeah, I do think that there's people like that, right? They're just like, hey, like, I love Dale. I love whenever someone's like, hey, we have an AI agent that can try to help you out first. I'm like, yes, most of the time this guy can help me. I'm just like, let me talk to you. But like, I know PK is like, give me a human, right? So, and he's younger than me. So I'm like, what is happening? So I do think it's going to be a bit of both worlds, I think.
Well, what I'm interested to see is, do we end up with, so we always see like we swing pendulum wise, right? And so interestingly enough, like I'm the oldest person on this one, and like Dale, I don't even like it when the Uber or the DoorDash person rings my doorbell. I'm like, I don't want to, like, just leave it on the front doorstep, right? Like my wife and my kids were gone this last weekend, and it was like just Andrew in the house. And I was like, I'm not going out. Like I was like DoorDash, and it's like they want to like chat with me or something. And I'm like,
no,
just leave it. Right. So I'm sort of in that camp of like, for a mortgage, for instance, like I would sit here and tell you, and this will be really unpopular in the comments, but that like there is a day when LOs go away. Right. But then I have to ask the question, and I don't, I guess I should ask my kids, maybe that'd be a good one. But then you've got like PK who's like, no, I really want to talk to a person. Like, I don't want to be like just doing everything via my phone. So it'll be interesting to see how does that progress? Does this invasion of more technology actually make the next generation more wanting that human in the loop component?
I got a question on that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, yeah, it's like the idea of like, great, the concept of the theory of using AI instead of, you know, when I'm calling customer support or I'm calling like, an airline is great because I can get through to a machine every time. But it's also an enormous pain in the ass. From like, don't give me the AI, give me a human because the human will get something done. The AI is just going to bumble around till it gets to something, or it tells me I can't do that. I got to go talk to an AI. So yeah, I think there's a place where we're going to eventually, hopefully, go to where there is a benefit to dealing with humans. And there will be a benefit to it. I mean, this is way outside. Sorry, PK. I'm going to go off here a little bit. It's like art. It's like AI can generate art and humans can generate art. There will eventually be human art will be more costly because it's created by a human, but it's the exact same. It could be even drawn by a robot. So it's just funny how the world's going to kind of shift, I think, over time here. Yeah, it's going to go back and forth, I think.
Authenticity is going to be a big word.
Yes, yeah. And then, sorry, let me think. I had one more thing here. Who was it? Someone was talking about wanting to talk to a person on the phone. Maybe it was PK. PK would rather talk to someone on the phone. My question to you, PK, would be, would you have a problem talking to an AI on the phone if the AI was indistinguishable from a human?
Not at all. Not at all.
I think we're going there if we're not on the bleeding edge already there.
Well, I'll take it a step further. From what I've seen is I think we're headed towards you having an AI that calls the other AI.
Oh, 100%.
Right. So someone released. So apparently Comcast is using AI agents now. So anytime you communicate with Comcast, it's all AI agents, right? This dude built an AI agent that basically argues with the Comcast AI agent to reduce your bill. And apparently his agent wins every time. So it's literally like, go reduce my bill with Comcast. And the agent like goes off and just autonomously has these conversations with Comcast and then like comes back to you, right? Like I see a world where I need to make a dentist appointment and I've got an agent that looks at my calendar. It calls the AI agent at the dentist's office and it coordinates with them. And then it sends me a text message and says, you know, you got to see Dr. Lake on, you know, June 2nd at 9 a.m. or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see because I think a lot of the psychology components and, you know, Dale, you brought up art. And one of the things I thought was perfectly said by someone, computers are way better than humans at chess, but we don't watch computers play chess. I don't, but there's still like millions of people who watch humans play chess. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to be said for the human experience.
I joke about this with my sales team a little bit, you know, again, kind of like the whole like AI just coordinating everything. You know, we already have AI who can read our email and it can already draft responses to our emails. And then you can choose to send it or not. My kind of thought is someday is like, obviously I have a sales team, we have a sales organization, and I'm trying to sell product to mortgage companies. My thought is someday is I'll have an AI that sells and it'll know all the features and functionality and what the minimum cost I'll sell that product for. Then the mortgage company, the lender will also have an AI on the other end, a procurement AI or a vendor AI that will know all their budgets. And the AIs will just chat with each other. And it'll just be like, hey, here's Modex, it's $1,000 a month. And the AI, their response will be, oh, we'll pay $900 a month. We'll go back and forth. And at the end, I and their leadership will just get emails saying, yep, the deal worked, here's the numbers, or nope, the deal didn't work, here are the numbers. Or here's how it ended. I think we're going to a place where, again, there's like not a lot of human interaction there. It's just, it uses all the hard data, the hard facts of like, here's how much money Modex needs to make. Here's how much money they have on a budget. Go. And it just like does it all automatically.
And does that, and are you comfortable with that, Dale? Do you like that?
No, because I think
I don't mind it. It's like my wife. Like my wife and I were both like, I love targeted ads. And I hear people complain like, oh, I got targeted. Like they have my data. I'm like, I love it. I don't get bored.
Oh, I
love targeted ads. I get useful ads.
No,
100%. But in that instance, Dale, like there still has to be some relationship base, right? So where I could see this is I have this relationship with CEO, you know, whatever. And we're having this conversation, and then our AI agents they go to town on pricing, right? And
They
so like
duke it out,
now, like
yeah.
maybe pricing is because like pricing's always uncomfortable, I feel like, in a conversation,
Sure.
at least in enterprise, because you're like, how much can I charge? How much can I not? I don't want to offend you, but I don't want to like lowball. It's like they always say, like if you give the price and the client's like, yes, you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I
Kind of
just
shot.
lost money. So it'll be interesting to see.
Mhm.
Moving on, what is a tech trend that you think is complete BS?
I haven't seen a bunch of these, but like metaverse mortgage offices, like VR mortgage offices.
That is.
I'm not going to call anyone out, but there's a big real estate company that did that or does that.
Really?
I just think it's hokey
The
pokey.
What
metaverse
was your thought
came
process
and
there?
went. That just never,
I
and I
don't know,
don't
man.
think it's coming back.
Yeah, PK, I can chat with you about it later. Like I'll tell you offline who they are. But yeah, it's like a virtual, like, virtual worlds where you go, you put your little headset on, and on your computer, you got your little Second Life agent guy walking around in a, I don't know. I've seen it a couple times. I just think it's strange. Not for me, at least. But for these, again, this other company's been super successful, so it's working for them.
So
But
are they're originating loans for property in the metaverse?
no, it's just like all their
Oh,
loan
like-
officers have a virtual office in a metaverse.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So you can go into the metaverse and have a chat with the person in
Yeah,
the
computer
metaverse.
doesn't work, you like go to the metaverse IT desk.
Give me their phone number.
You walk your little person over there to the little help desk.
And now, do you guys remember when they were selling property, like NFT property in the metaverse? And like, I
happened
forgot
to that?
Huh?
What happened to that?
Like the metaverse, it died.
I
Have
love
you
the
guys-
amount of friends that I made fun of for NFTs that told me I was wrong, and now like I bring it up all the time. I'll be like, "Hey, how about NFTs?" They're like, "I hate you."
What was it? The Bored Ape Club or whatever?
Mhm.
The people
Yep,
were
yep.
paying like literally like $1 million for and more for like an NFT painting of an ape. Like
Dude.
I remember that, like it was insane, and it like skyrocketed and then it just completely burned and crashed. So
Gary Vee was wrong on that one.
it is unfortunate because it really in many ways was a scar on blockchain. And we won't go down the blockchain rabbit hole. A plug for next week. Next week is all about blockchain. So if you're interested in blockchain, it'll be a good one to tune into. Dale, what's your take? Mace loves that I always ask this question. What's your take on vibe coding?
I do a lot of it.
You do?
My engineers don't do a lot of it.
And why is that?
I can't believe that people aren't doing it more. To me, the only reason why people the only response for why haven't you done it yet is because you're busy. Like I get it. Like that was us before, and it was like, hey, check out all these cool AI tools. Like, yeah, I'm freaking busy. I can't mess with that. That was a notable response. But then we had time, and now, I'm sorry, but to not be playing with programming with AI is just irresponsible.
I got a question, Mace. You said playing with. Do you mean like as a side fun thing, as an educational experience, or you mean as like a building productionized code?
We actively produce code on an Ubuntu server using Rue code every single day. Like Sean Foltz, he'll be on our show one time. One day he literally, Anthropic was down. I don't know if you remember, like 2 months ago, it was down for like 2 days, and he was like, "I'm just gonna go. I'm going home. Like I'm not going to manually write. This is BS. I'm not writing code." Like
I do think the level of the engineer, or at least this is what my guys say, is it also comes down to the level of the engineer, right?
No, it's a megaphone. If you take, Todd down the street and try to tell him, "Hey, go build me a CRM," he's gonna be like, "What?" But like, if you get really good at you chat with AI to give you markdown, and then you take that markdown and then you go to stuff like Rue code or other stuff, and it crushes it. And 6 months ago, Andrew, you knew how much I was talking about vibe coding about, but like it's even now, just within within the last 60 days, it's even gotten astronomically better.
I built our new website like that and then got 90% there, and the last 10% our dev just knocked out. And like you know, that website would have cost 10 to 20K if I had outsourced it to like a firm to do it, right? And so it was just like, I'll knock it on myself and get it up there.
Yeah.
And also, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say this might be fun, like a idea, but maybe we should do like a session on one of these webinars where we actually like build something live.
Dude, I actually want to do that. Let's have Sean Foltz on here, Andrew.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Like, hey,
well,
like,
you guys can do that all you want. But the thing that drives me nuts, and no, I just mean like I won't participate. I can't, Dale. I can't write a single line of code. Just so we're all.
But you don't need to.
Yeah. This is what drives me nuts, though, are these stupid Instagram posts where this guy's like, you can build all your own iPhone apps and you don't need to know any code. And it's like, that's just not true. Like, it's like when Mark Zuckerberg is like, oh, well, AI is going to replace all engineers. And it's like, okay, maybe. Yeah, Chris is shaking his head because I agree. But maybe Facebook can spend $1 billion training an agent that's already trained just on its code and it understands how to update its code. Okay, I can maybe get there that they can get rid of a lot of engineers. But I think generally speaking, if you wanted to go build an enterprise grade, you know, SOC 2 compliant CRM tomorrow, you can't do it with Cursor or Windsurf. Now, if you're a senior engineer, if you're somebody like Dale, yeah, 100%. I know that is possible. What I'm talking about is the average person on the street. And I think a lot of the talk around this makes it look like anybody, you know, can do that. So
yeah.
My take is that it's not about like getting rid of jobs. It's more so like, can you get to like the things that are like priority number, like 100 to 200 that have been on the docket, but like you've just never been able to get to. So like, it's not necessarily about like.
Well, it just builds more efficiency. Yeah. Right. It's just like, let's just enhance the engineer to be more efficient, to be more performant.
Get more shit done. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. So I want to bring in Suha's question for last week. You kind of touched on this a little bit, Dale, in the beginning, but maybe go a little bit deeper. So let's hear from Suha. All right, Suha. So our guest for next week is the great Dale Larson III. What question do you have for him?
So I researched them a little bit because I wanted to make sure I asked the right question. And Modex's brand says, better mortgage employment decisions start with data. Now, you all know I'm a data nerd, and I would argue that any decision starts with data. But my question to Dale is this. What convinced you that one of the biggest untapped opportunities in mortgage tech was specifically in recruitment and employment data? What was your aha moment?
There you go.
That's a great question. And you know, it's so funny. And we were joking about this, I think, before we started the call. This is great. This is right in line, and I'll try and keep us on track here. Right. So I took the last 2 calls you guys did. I transcribed them using DeepGram, and I fed them into Claude. And I got pages of notes on what you guys talked about. And you want to talk shit about AI, it got her question wrong.
No, it didn't. No, so that question, hang on. Okay, so sorry. So that question, because we had to swap out guests, that question that she had last week, I actually brought her back on and re-recorded another question that was specific for you because her old question was about LOSs.
Yes, it was an AI native question, I think.
Yeah.
So, very funny. There we go.
Great use of Claude, by the way.
Well, I was like, wait a minute, Andrew. Like, how did this happen? Like, I know that did not take place.
Yeah, no, we did a Zoom call and I just recorded it. So,
I think, I mean, the simplest way is like, you know, my dad did this. And so I just saw that it was painful and slow and archaic. And I think there are a lot of untapped opportunities in mortgage. But when I see people attacking mortgage, they generally, now again, I think all 3 of you guys are attacking different things than what I'm going to mention, but people generally attack 2 things, in my opinion. They either attack lead gen, let's create more leads, or they attack 2, client or borrower experience. That's generally what I see a lot of people trying to innovate on, because that's where they think the money is, right? Let's make more loans and let's make it easier for people to get loans done. Great. I think what people don't recognize is the monumental value that loan officers carry in the market. And no one has attacked that specifically to help them find new jobs, right? So Like I said, 86,000 roughly, or actually this was on a different call. And this metric is slightly dated. So our metric would be 86,000 loan officers switch jobs per year, roughly.
Wow.
Average loan officer in the United States does about, again, this is like maybe a little bit pre-pandemic, so it's a little slanted, my data here. Average loan officer does $1 million in loans a month. Just easy number. It depends on where you're in the US. So that's a lot of money. And those are loan officers that carry a book of business, and no one is helping them find new jobs. And then when you can help them find a new job, you just take a slice of the pie. So I think that's where we saw it. And I saw my dad not struggling, but I saw more opportunity for my dad to grow his business, traditional mortgage lending.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, hey, if this is a problem my dad has, and this is a problem that a lot of people have, and then it just kind of expanded. Then it was like loan officers have a problem. And then it was like, all right, well, so anyways, we think we see money there, and we don't think anyone has innovated on that. And all of my competitors, which are all generally kind people, right? Like the Model Match folks, the Ingenious folks. I mean, there's a bunch of people I can name, and they all have good product, and we all kind of excel in our individual areas. But for a lot of us, including a lot of our tool today, we're a BI tool. We provide data. We just clean it up and package it slightly differently than any of my competitors or any other provider in the market. Helping the additional step of saying, hey, let's help loan officers find jobs. No one is really capitalizing on that. And we just think it's painful and archaic. So yeah, that's how I got here to choosing that specific function. Yeah.
I like it. That's a great answer. I found that the vast majority of at least good entrepreneurs or good founders, their problem either comes from something they saw in their parents' work or something they experienced in their own work. So I love the fact that like your dad really was, because you had that context, right? Like you were really, I think a lot of times people try to solve problems that they haven't actually watched be experienced. And that can be troublesome because they don't really have the context that's necessarily needed. And that, folks, is how you end up in a tar pit, right, PK?
Like you have CRMs that love to send recipes. Like, I just love that we have. I talk to CEOs that are just like, I think borrowers want to have regular mortgage updates every single day. I'm like, no, only when they want to buy, and they don't want your recipe.
I saw AI, by the way, on a side note, shoved into the goofiest thing the other day. It was Logitech's, like has like that. They have a thing where you can control, like for updating like your mouse and your keyboard and your webcam and whatnot for customizing it. And they built ChatGPT into it. And they were like, so it's all in one place. And I was like, this is literally like, you just lit money on fire. Like you had zero reason to actually do that. So
shiny object. It's like you just slap AI or LLM or GPT on anything, and all of a sudden people like it.
Okay,
there's no additional value.
We have a ridiculous question every week, also from ChatGPT.
Hit me.
Modex already predicts top producing loan officers with scary accuracy. If you could keep only one offbeat data point to spot the next superstar between daily espresso count or average number of browser tabs open, which metric are you betting on and why?
I'm going to bet on coffee. I'm betting on coffee. I think that's it's a great question. That's hilarious. I just think it's more, I don't know. I think people just have lots of browser tabs. I think if you're looking for jobs, you're probably not going to, you may have more browser tabs because you're looking for jobs, but you're going to have lots of tabs anyways. I don't think it's going to be impacted.
How many are you? Like, I'm like a 3 tab at most type guy. My co-founder is like a 75 tabs at the same time. What are you guys? I'm curious.
I'm about like 8 to 10. My wife is about 98.
Yeah, her computer's about to catch on fire, right?
Yeah.
Got to put it in the freezer at night, cool down.
Like on her phone, whenever like it shows you the number of like browsers open, it just says like 99 plus. It just like
giving me anxiety just thinking about it. Yeah, I bet you she leaves all the apps open on her phone too. Right? You go and you're like, where is the app I need to look for in here? Just slide through all the open apps. I don't know. I probably have maybe 20 tabs open across 2 different browser windows. Yeah. So 10 in each.
Same.
PK, you're at 20 at 20
20 to 30.
My favorite is when my wife's like, my computer's running so slow. And then I go over and like you said, Mace, there's like 99 tabs open. And I'm like, you do realize like every single website is hitting your computer right now, right? Like, you know.
Such an interesting thing though, because like what did we do before tabs? Like before the internet, what we had like multiple books on our desk, multiple encyclopedias.
And
it's weird.
It was like somebody asked the other day, they were like, what did people do at work before computers? And I was like, it's not a bad question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. You know, what I'd love to kind of end on. Actually, I got 2 things before we end. But number one is what's an interesting use, Dale, that you use large language models just in your like day-to-day life, right? Whether it's Claude or GPT. Sounds like maybe you're in the Claude camp.
The Claude and Gemini camp. Yep.
You're okay. I'm like the open AI. I feel like it's like Android and iPhone all over again. But what's kind of an interesting use case that you use it for?
Yeah, so I'm stealing someone else's thunder, but I think I kind of modified it a little bit. So I have this idea around email classification I call DICE. So it stands for decide, inform, consult, or execute. So my opinion is all emails can fall under one of the DICE categories that are not like marketing emails. If it's as long as it's a transactional email, they fall under DICE. So I have I have a custom built tool that I built, vibe coding, that looks at all my emails coming in, and it looks at the context of the email, and then it tags them in Gmail as is it D, I, C, or E? Do I need to make a decision? Is someone informing me of something? Do I need to be consultative on this email, or do I need to take action and execute something? So it helps me just in my morning. I look at my email, I'm like, what do I need to do? What do I need to respond to?
That is fantastic. I need that. You should sell that.
Chat.
Let's go raise some money.
All right. So what I'd love to end on here, another little Modex plug, but you know, obviously, you know, you've got competitors in the space. You're not the only one, but what do you feel like sets Modex apart, right? For people who are listening to this and it's like, I'm trying to decide who I'm going to go with, like, what would you say, like, why you would go with Modex?
I think I got 3 things. I'll try and be brief. One would be a technology and platform. So we have super modern tech. It's all custom built. We don't use anything off the shelf like Tableau, so we're not limited by that. Of course, there are downsides to that, but we're entirely custom built. So you get maximum flexibility in terms of what we can build and speed of our platform. Generally no like spinning wheels. So tech. Second would be what I would call derivative data. So we're not just looking at raw data. It's not like, oh, this loan officer did $10 million last year. We're looking at what type of loan officer are they? What are their patterns? What's the likelihood of them switching jobs or propensity to switch jobs, stuff like that. And then third, which is interesting related to AI stuff, is people. I think we have phenomenal people in our organization, and I think we provide phenomenal customer service. And we actually win business fairly often because of the experience people have with my team. I don't know if AI can replace them. So
no, and I think that's absolutely that's the difference maker, right? I mean, you get to a certain point in which it's like, okay, if the products get a little bit similar, like it does really come down to the people. It is a huge part of that. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've hit the hour, it looks like here. Dale, thank you so much.
Hold on, we need Dale to ask a question for the next guest.
Oh God, Chris, I almost screwed up. All right, Dale. So the guests for next week, we have Ian Ferreira from Liquify, which is a blockchain company that they work in the securitization market. So they actually are putting securities on the chain. I know Redwood was one of their early customers, along with Angel Oak, as well as John Levinick, who is an attorney in the tech space. He's actually going to be fulfilling PK's role because PK is going on vacation again. I'm just kidding, PK. So what question do you have for the blockchain guys next week, Dale?
Yeah, I say I got some options here. I brought some options. What is the technology you initially dismissed or were skeptical about that you've come to appreciate or implement, and what changed your perspective?
Ooh, that is a great question. I really like that one. Awesome. All right. Well, Dale, thank you again. Appreciate it. And thanks to everybody out there who's watching this. And we will see you next week.
Thanks.